What's up, y'all? So today I'm on the floor, and that can only mean one thing: declutter time. I don't know why I always sit on the floor for these, but it always feels right, and that's just what we're doing. Today we're decluttering my concealers. Let me show you kind of my before situation and what I'm working with concealer-wise. So this is what we're working with here. It's kind of overflowed, and I grabbed a couple of concealers that I had in my area I get ready, like in my master bathroom. So I need to grab all of these and spread them out, and we'll go through them. But the looks can be deceiving. There's a lot in here. Like, oh my gosh, some I totally forgot I even had, you know? I have an entire decluttering playlist. If you enjoy this and you want to watch more of this style, I have, you guys, so many. You could watch declutter videos on my channel for like days. So let me get these laid out so we can go through the concealers one by one. So I just counted, we have 30 of these here, and I would like to get rid of at least half. I have a lot here, some that are definitely the wrong shade, some that are just maybe have gone bad or super old, or ones that I just don't like. So let's dive into this. Pay no mind. I know I wiggle my toes when I do these, you guys. I can't help it. I don't know what's wrong with me. All right, let's start with ones that I kind of feel like have maybe gone bad. ColourPop No Filter Concealer. I have it in medium 20, and it's kind of orange for me, first of all. I guess I could zoom you in, huh? Let me zoom you all in. It's pretty darn orange for me, but not only that, these separate so much. Now, the good news is they're not crazy expensive, and if you're using it every day, you would go through it. But for me, since I'm not, I just think it's time to get rid of it. I was not the hugest fan of the concealer. I didn't think it was terrible. I really, really like the flat, kind of gushy, squishy, I don't know what word I need, but little applicators. So that's something I really did like about it, but it's just definitely separated, and I think I'm just gonna pass it on. Also, a bird was just trying to fly into my window, and that was so freaky. What does that mean? Doesn't that mean something? I feel like it's like a bad omen. Ugh. So this one from Benefit is their Boing Cakeless Concealer. This is actually a new one. I've gone through one of these, and this is the second one I've owned, and I just really, really like it. Part of it is the shade match is so good for me. It's a little bit more of a neutral tone. I have it in the shade number 4. I've definitely realized that when a concealer is too light for me, like much, much too light, I tend to not grab for it, and I tend to not like the way it looks. It just ends up emphasizing parts of my face I don't really like and don't want to emphasize, and so I end up not liking the concealer itself. So this is one I really, really enjoy. I feel like it's kind of almost bouncy and plush, and it stays in place. It's really a beautiful concealer. So keeping one, passing one on. So this e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, this is one that I just didn't love the way it looked after I had it on for a few hours. The shade match wasn't great either, but it was fine. Like, I could totally work with it, but it just ended up kind of coming apart on my face, and that kind of surprised me because I feel like hydrating concealers I tend to like a little bit more, and I feel like they don't break apart as easily on my face when it comes to like dry crepiness, and this one still did that. So I'm gonna pass that one on. So this one, I think I'm getting close to being done with. It's the Tarte Creaseless Concealer. This is one that's super emollient. However, if you let it sit for a while, it definitely, you kind of need to mix it back in, because I do feel like it kind of separated for a while because it sat in my drawer for a few months. So I think if you had oily under eyes, you would not like this. And I also think the only way to apply this well is with your fingers. It just doesn't do well with a sponge or a brush because of how almost greasy is not the right word, but it's very emollient. So I just want to keep emphasizing that because, again, if you don't like it, stay far, far away. But I really enjoyed it. I don't think it's creaseless by any means, but I just really like it. So this is one I was not a huge fan of from Physicians Formula. It's their Natural Defense Concealer. It just broke apart on me right away. The packaging I don't hate. It's very similar to like the Charlotte Tilbury packaging they used for some of their products, but it was just a little too dry and kind of like, chunky's not the right word, but it was just very dry. And so I wasn't a huge fan, gonna get rid of that one. This is one I enjoy. It's from L'Oreal. I've used probably about half of it up. It's their Age Perfect Radiant Concealer. It's just a really nice concealer for those days where you're kind of carefree. Definitely think this works well with a finger to apply. And it's just a comfortable concealer. I do think this one moves around a little bit, so I don't think it'd be for everyone, but I just enjoy it, like I said, for those kind of lighter coverage days where I'm just quickly throwing things on. This is very nice and brightening, but this is definitely not gonna be something that's gonna last me like 15 hours. Two of my favorites I'll go ahead and talk about, the Bobbi Brown Creaseless, is that what it's called? No, just their Corrector. I love this stuff. This is the second or third one of these I've owned. I just use my finger, tap it on the inner part, and it will instantly get rid of the bluish purple color that's usually there for me, and I love it. Again, this is amazing on its own, but it's also great paired with other concealers if you're wanting to brighten more. But this stuff I freaking love. I use the shade Light Bisque, adore it. And it stays in place surprisingly well, and I also really have been enjoying the Charlotte Tilbury Corrector. Very, very similar product, y'all. I wear the shade number 1 Fair. The Bobbi Brown one has way more shades though. So they're similar in price, but just know that there are definitely more shade options with Bobbi Brown. I really, really like the UOMA, what is it actually called? Their Stay Woke Concealer. I have the shade Fair Lady T1. This is great. I feel like it actually doesn't budge throughout the day. So this is one I would trust for like long days. I don't feel like it seeps into fine lines as much as other ones. It doesn't end up looking crepey, and it blends in really fast. I was so happy about how this one works. So I'm definitely keeping this one. And again, talk about an incredible shade range this one has. And also these are very, very similar. The UOMA and the Benefit Boing, they're very, very similar formulas. Another one I just had too long is this Covergirl Trublend Undercover. This is a really nice concealer though, and it's super high coverage. So I view this as very, very similar to the Tarte Shape Tape. Very similar. I think it's a similar formula, similar coverage, where it's just like, wow, level of coverage, and it stays on pretty well. It's just smelling a little funky, and I have had it for a long time, so I think it's time to get rid of it. This one is from Kosas, and it's one that I've actually gotten a lot of questions from you guys on how I feel about it. If I remember correctly, they sent me a few shades, and all of them are way too yellow, and it was really hard to tell how I liked it. So this is in the shade number 3. This is as close as I could get, but it is very, very yellow tinted for me compared to my skin tone. So I'm not totally certain on how I feel about it, but this is definitely not the right shade for me. So I'm gonna pass it on. This is one that's pretty old, the Flex Concealer from Milk. I actually really, really like this though. This is in the shade Fair. Is that the right one? It never says the shade on it. There it is, Fair. It's a nice neutral, almost gray toned shade, which I love. I actually really like this formula as well, but it is definitely smelling a little off. I really like this concealer. Very comfortable to wear and easy to apply. So we're kind of sitting at about half and half. I've got 6 I'm getting rid of and 6 I'm keeping so far. So we're doing well. So another one here is this L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear. It's so full coverage. I pretty rarely wear it, and it's getting pretty old, so I'm gonna pass it on. But I feel like both of these are really, really good, nice full coverage concealers. So I would say just go for the one that you can find a sale on if you like full coverage, or the one that you can find a better shade match for, but they're both really, really nice. This Collab one I have loved for so long, but it is so old, and it's almost empty, so I think I might actually put this one in my empties bin. I love the flat paddle concealer. It's kind of hard to find. They sell it at Sally Beauty, but this is one of the prettiest concealer formulas ever. It blends in like a dream so quickly, and it stays really well. Wow, I loved it. I wore the shade Ivory Sand 2-3, and it was a really good shade match for me. That I will miss, and I would highly consider buying again once I run out of a few of the ones I already have. So some ones I definitely want to keep, the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in the shade number 10. I really, really like. Again, it's such an easy concealer. It blends really well. It's a little bit more of a thin formula, but I feel like it stays pretty well throughout the day. Again, this is one that I just feel like gives you that medium level of coverage that I personally like. And so I'm definitely gonna keep this. And this one, I've had this before. This is actually a newer one for me. Another drugstore one I'm gonna keep is the Maybelline Age Rewind Concealer. This is an oldie but a goodie. It's one I've loved for so long. It actually has higher coverage than I remembered it having back in the day, but I like it, and it's a formula that's kind of unique. Like it almost dries down to like a, I don't wanna say powder finish, but kinda. Like I don't feel like I have to set this. And for whatever reason, I feel like this used to be more dewy back in the day, and maybe they've changed it. I might just not be remembering it clearly. Either way, I obviously like this one, and I'm definitely gonna keep it because this is a newer one of these that I have. One that I didn't love was the ColourPop Pretty Fresh. This shade too was not quite right for me, but I liked the paddle applicator, but it was just okay. I don't think it was terrible, it was just okay. I don't feel the need to keep it. This Clé de Peau one I've had for a while, and I really should get rid of it, but I just can't. I just want to use it up. I have it in the shade Ivory. I remember old school YouTube. Like, this is something I saved up for. But old school YouTube used to talk about this concealer as this amazing concealer, and it is. But I don't love it on my under eye, so I would use it like on blemishes on my face, and it's gorgeous that way. So I'm going to keep it, but I need to use it up because I don't want this to just go to waste, because this is an embarrassingly expensive concealer that I bought. This is one I'm just not huge on. It's the MAC Studio Finish Concealer. It's not... Basically, it's a potted concealer that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but I just tend to reach for my Bobbi Brown and Charlotte Tilbury ones over this if I'm going for a potted concealer. So I don't feel like this need to keep it, and it's not crazy old, so I'd rather pass it on to someone that might be excited to use it. And it's not quite a good color if I were to use it on blemishes on my face. It's just a little bit too orange for my skin tone to use it that way, so I'm gonna pass that on. This Marc Jacobs Accomplice Concealer I also really like. It's actually one of the more emollient concealer sticks, so I don't feel like, I feel like I actually could use it on my under eye. Have I recently? No, but it's nice and creamy, and it also works well on the face. And again, I spent a pretty penny on this, so I want to make sure I'm getting use out of it. So definitely keeping it. I kind of feel like these are very similar products, the Clé de Peau and the Marc Jacobs, and the Marc Jacobs is cheaper. It's still expensive, but it's cheaper than the Clé de Peau. So that's something to keep in mind if you've always wanted that. Maybe try the Marc Jacobs one because they're very similar. This Hourglass one I've come around on. I actually did not like it very much when I first tried it. It's their Vanish concealer. It's actually what I'm wearing today. I feel like it does a pretty good job. It's definitely a little bit higher coverage. I got like literally 4 hours of sleep last night, so I need all the help I can get. And I like the way it blends in with the brush. I've realized I don't love it as much with the sponge. And so when I've got a nice clean brush, it works so well. But like I said, sponge, not the best. And I think that's why I came around on it. I've been using my sponge for concealer for a long time, and I had to use a brush to fall in love with this. So I really think it's nice. It gives medium to high coverage. It stays really well. I do feel like it'll settle into creasing, and you do need to like kind of tap it in. But the thing I like about this is I don't feel like I have to set it with powder, and that I appreciate. So I do actually really like this one. I can show you the formula though here. It's a little bit thinner of a formula, but it just glides effortlessly in that area. But I also think this is something you can definitely overblend. So once it's blended in, leave it, and then you can kind of tap it out of the creases after a minute or two. So really, really like that now. This is one I cannot get down with. I just recently bought it. Like, I'm talking in the past like month or two. It's from Nude Fix. It's their Nude Fix Cream Concealer. I'm gonna talk about it in a speed review soon, but it's just like every time I blend it in, because it looks like exactly what I would like, but every time I blend it in any way I've tried, it just doesn't quite evenly cover the area, and it looks a little bit crepey and weird. And so I think Nude Fix maybe missed the mark with this one. So this is one I'm probably gonna get rid of, but I need to talk about in my upcoming speed reviews video first. So I'm gonna keep it for that, but I think eventually it will be decluttered. Okay, another one I am gonna pass on. Okay, so I have 2 Revolution ones. I have their Conceal and Define, and I have their Conceal and Hydrate. I'm gonna pass on the Conceal and Define. It literally is like dried up. It's the weirdest thing. I'm like, was there any product? Because I definitely did not use all that up. The product itself was pretty good. It was like the Tarte Shape Tape. I don't feel like this dying need to buy it again. So that one's gonna go. This Revolution Conceal and Hydrate I wanna keep because I've used it a couple times and I thought it was pretty good. I need to keep trying it though because I still don't fully know how I feel about it. So it's a radiant concealer, it says, and the shade's a pretty good neutral shade for me. Maybe a little light, no, not really. But it feels very similar to a lot of the ones I already like. I have it in the shade C3 if you were curious. So I want to give this a little bit more of a try because I remembered enjoying it, but need to try it some more. So I have these Nars concealers. I think I bought one and one was sent in PR, something like that. They're all in the shade Vanilla. I don't know why I have so many open. I really like this concealer though. Again, it's such a classic, but I actually think it's pretty good. The naming I think is weird because I don't think this is radiant at all, but I do feel like it blends in really fast. It stays really well throughout the day, and my under eye looks healthy when I use this. So I'm gonna keep all of them because they're expensive. I like them and I will use them. So I just need to figure out which one's older and which one's newer. So I have a couple more. I think I'm finally gonna get rid of this RMS Beauty Uncover Up. It's just one that I don't really ever use because it's not quite as high coverage as what I like in the like Bobbi Brown stuff, but it's a little bit of coverage. But if it takes as long to do this as it does to use this, and this covers just a bit more, I never end up reaching for this because I'm like, well, it's the same amount of time, but this just has less coverage. So I'm gonna pass this one on. The number 7 Lift and Illuminate Serum Concealer, I've gotten a lot of questions about this one too. And again, I just still don't feel like I know how I feel about it. The few times I've tried it, I kind of felt underwhelmed because it just didn't have as much coverage as I typically like. Even though I don't like super high coverage, but I just feel like I need to try it again and actually know how I feel because I tend to like a lot from this brand. So gonna give this another go. And then this Cover FX Power Play Concealer I actually really, really like. The little applicator is kind of weird. It's this big ball, but it blends in seamlessly and it stays a long time. This is one I trust for like long, long days. It's got more of a medium coverage vibe, but it stays really well. So this is what I'm keeping, and I've kind of organized it to kind of share with you if you were curious. Basically, I feel like these are more of my higher coverage concealers, the Cover FX, the Hourglass, the Benefit, and the UOMA. My more medium, middle of the road coverage ones would be the Tarte, the Maybelline, the Nars one, and the Maybelline Age Rewind. My 3 that I'm just not sure how I feel about are over here that I want to try, and they may either stay or go. The ones I'm going to use more for like face concealing, like blemishes, are these the Marc Jacobs and the Clé de Peau. And then these are my like easy breezy quick days, my 2 correctors, and then the L'Oreal Age Perfect. I just feel like they're still closer to medium coverage, but they're a little bit lighter and airier and easier to apply. So I thought that might be helpful to kind of see them categorized that way, but this is what I'm keeping and this is what I'm getting rid of. So we're getting rid of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12. So only a few short of getting rid of half of them. I feel really good about this. I'm not looking at any of these and feeling like, oh no, I don't want to get rid of it or anything like that. So that is a really good feeling to get all of these out of my collection. So that is everything for this declutter. Like I said, I'm feeling a lot better about what I'm keeping. If you are interested, I'm also planning and soon filming my Best of the Year Awards video series. I call them the Jammy Awards because my original screen name was Jam Beauty 89. So stay tuned for that. I do best of makeup and skincare and all kinds of stuff. Like I said earlier, I hope that you will subscribe. Thank you so much for watching to the end. If you're in a declutter mood, definitely go check out my decluttering playlist. I will link it below. You can binge watch declutter videos. I know they're just like a very calm vibe, and I am totally here for that. So I love you all, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.